one would see that great man, V.I. Lenin, at the turn of the century, wrote a book entitled Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. Is it? Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism? Yes. If one would read this little pamphlet, one would see here that Mr. Lenin had precisely pointed out that all of the world had already been conquered and divided by colonial powers. There was no else in the world left to be conquered or divided by colonial powers. This is the time when Zionism comes to rise. Zionism comes to look for a state when everywhere else in the world is already dominated. Thus, in order for Mr. Herzl to get a country for Zionists, what he did was to attach himself to imperialism, British imperialism in this case, quite specifically. Of course, as an African who suffered under the heels of British imperialism, I can have no love for it, and certainly I cannot love anyone who attaches themselves to it for the foundation of a state and then call this a liberation movement. Liberation movements fight against imperialism, not with it. Clearly here. Yes. The legal foundation of the State of Israel is what is known as the Balfour Declaration. This declaration was issued in 1917. A man in the government of Britain named Balfour wrote a paper and promised the Jews a national home. The national home he promised them was an area which Britain was colonizing, Palestine. Palestine didn't belong to the British, just like Ireland doesn't belong to the British, even though they have troops there. But here, these British imperialists signed a note and gave it to the Jews, and they accepted it. Where is the morality for this? If you say that Israel belongs to you, then you don't go to a thief to get Israel, you go and take it. Once you go to an immoral being such as British imperialism, and this is the basis for you getting the land, then clearly here those who are truly liberation fighters must question this. The basis, we say, is the Balfour Declaration, and Zionists know it. The Zionism is certainly not a liberation movement because it never fought against any imperialism. As a matter of fact, today, Zionism is the baby, child, and infant protector of imperialism in the Middle East. It carries out the interests of American imperialism. As a matter of fact, Zionism and American imperialism is like this. If our tax dollars would stop giving money to Israel, the state would sink tomorrow. And certainly no one can deny that American imperialism is the leading imperialist nation in the world. So we cannot see how a liberation movement is so tied, string, and ham to American imperialism. They work hand in hand with American imperialism. Thus, they can hardly be a liberation movement. In addition to this, Zionism has nothing to do with anything religion, nothing. All religions are concerned with human beings after they die. That's what religions are for. Islam will tell you what happens to you when you die. As a matter of fact, this which forces you to live a good life so that after death, you'll be able to enjoy the rewards of heaven. The same is true for Judaism. But Zionism says nothing about the individual after they're dead. They don't give a damn about you. Zionism has nothing to do with religion at all. And one should not make the confusion here. The Palestinian state belongs to the Palestinian people. This is a fact.
This is a fact. What's popping? My friends, my family, we are back once again. What's popping for a very, very important conversation. This is the conversation that we put together this week on the light of a very obvious siop attempt to divide communities that had long-standing decades of solidarity with each other, because the empire, the Zionist entity itself, is a threat to Black Americans. And it's very important for all of us to understand that you cannot side with empire and expecting to be spared their fangs because you sell people out. The Zionist entity is our struggle. If you're American, it is your struggle. Have solidarity with the global working class and stand for human rights and against genocide unapologetically. And we have amazing Palestinian activists that will be joining us today. And I'm looking forward to hearing their voice. I want to pass it to my brothers, Rome and James, that will be joining us here very shortly. Ajamu Baraka, hopefully, will be joining us here very soon. What's popping, Rome?
Man, what's going on? I've been seeing this discourse, and it's like nobody actually pays attention to these great minds. You know, you will walk in your auntie house or your neoliberal family houses, and you would see them having a picture of Malcolm X next to Barack Obama, and you just know that they lost this whole plot. And it's hard when I see Black people fall into nationalism, when I see Black Americans, African Americans fall into nationalism and push America first. That never has been the voice of our people. That never been the teaching of our people, and it just hurts to see that. But I'm glad that we can help throw a monkey wrench in this bullshit.
Yeah, I told you, Ron. As soon as this psyop developed, I tried to cut the head off of psyop dragons before they even develop. And I told you that RBN, we're gonna do everything we can to lead the discourse to destroy this narrative that K-Hive and the Democratic Party is cooking up. What's popping, James? I'm gonna introduce you. We're gonna bring our guests in very soon. I'm glad you're able to join us. I know you're a little bit tired, but there's an important conversation. I'm glad to hear your voice, even just a little bit, my brother.
Yeah. Thanks. Good to see Rome and Nick. You guys are looking great, and I'm just happy to see you. This is a very important conversation because, unfortunately, and I'm not going to be on here very long, but one of the things I think there's an air of is that liberation is transactional. And in reality, wrong is wrong no matter what. And so we can get more deeper into that. But my thing is that standing, with someone doesn't mean that we're also not still fighting for ourselves. And I think there's this narrative that's happening, and it's catching a lot of people off guard because they're saying, well, these people are anti-Black, or these people are anti-Arab or Palestinian. And it's also quite interesting to see how all this, and somebody said this on a TikTok, how all this is happening 3 months before the election.
Right.
I told you guys that liberalism, and like my dear brother Glenn Ford said, the Democratic Party is the most effective evil. We don't do lesser to evilism. It's just an objective fact. I'm not saying one party is better than another. I'm telling you, when it comes to achieving the goals of the empire, the Democratic Party is the most effective evil, because the Republican Party could never dream of pulling off what K-Hive and the Democratic PSYOP is attempting right now, dividing Black and Palestinian Americans. This is something only liberals can get away with. And then the last thing I'm going to share to tee up our guests, because do you guys think it's a coincidence that you had this coordinated, like all these liberal Black influencers drop these videos at the same time? You have all these unhinged tweets come out at the same time. And this is off the, after it was revealed, we already knew this, that the ADL, they considered young Black American solidarity with Palestinians the number one threat to the United States relationship with Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So after it was revealed that AIPAC and ADL view Black Americans as a threat to the Zionist empire, do you guys think it's a coincidence that this PSYOP comes out of nowhere, where Black liberals are coming out enthusiastically for as pro-genocide in order to protect their favorite genocidal girl boss? I'm gonna play the video and then we get our guests in, because here's the I'll read it here. The Israeli consulate general in Atlanta said the young Black generation is a major problem for Israel. And after the big push from Zionists on this, they pushed this PSYOP.
Government holding a private convention here in the United States. One of the people in attendance at this secret meeting was Judith Varney Shorer. She's a former Israeli consul general who was operating out of Atlanta. She was one of the main people saying that the biggest problem that they had was young Black people in the United States. But don't worry, they've got some Black leaders on the payroll.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the Black community. The problem of Israel is with the young generation of the Black von denen.
They just say this stuff out loud, my friends. So I think that's my introduction, my monologue. I want to bring our guest in. I'm very honored that you guys made time for us. Whenever Palestinian activists or anyone in the resistance speak out, there's always a risk of the authoritarian, fascist, Zionist retaliation. So we definitely appreciate your time. We definitely appreciate your and respect your privacy as well. I'm gonna introduce you guys just in terms of when I send you guys. We have Nurdin, Samaya, and Suha join us, and we're gonna start with Nurdin first, and go to Sumaya, and then Suha. Just the order I see you guys in. And I'll pass to Nurdin first on, and you can speak your truth. I'm not gonna shackle you here, but in general, the theme of why it's so important to have this international solidarity against a Zionist entity. So very broadly, as a way to start the conversation, once again, can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate you guys joining us today. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm just happy to be here. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm, I feel like I'm still coming up. I'm not, one of the OGs like Suhad, for example. But I think in this moment, like having a space like this, I'm just so grateful to be here, because I think a common feeling that we are all feeling right now is betrayal, and I think betrayal in all our communities is a very real thing. People who sell out for the empire, and they're selling out their own blood. Yes, liberals, they exploit race and gender and all these things, but when it comes from your own community, you have to fight back really hard against that, and we need to align in that sense. So I'm just happy to be here to talk about these things, and yeah, I'm a Palestinian living abroad, and just have family back in Palestine, and just can't wait to go home, basically. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, your perspective is going to be very valuable. Your lived experience is very legitimate, and as you said, I'm just a young buck starting out. We all have valid experiences, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. I'm gonna pass it to Samaya, and then we're gonna go to Suhad after that, regarding the importance of solidarity and just general opening statements. Anything you want to lead with, feel free to speak your heart. I'll pass it to Samaya first.
Hi, folks. Thanks for having me on here. Just like Nardine, I'm also someone who's just being mentored currently by a lot of these folks in the chat. One thing that drives me to be here and be passionate about this topic is that there's literally a genocide going on right now. And we are focusing on American politics. We're focusing on who to vote for, when we're overlooking that once we have someone who supported a genocide in power, that's it. That's their entire title. We can't look past that. We can't take that as like a single voter issue, because it's not just one thing that we're kind of focusing on. It encompasses everything that we stand for as a humans. Like, we're anti-imperialist, we're anti-capitalist, and this person that some folks are supporting is just against all of that. And the reason why we need to have the solidarity talks right now is to show the world that we're in solidarity together, because we're currently in suffering. We're not doing this for some cute like TikTok trend. We're not doing this for any sort of publicization or like for trending ourselves or anything. There are people dying today, and that's what's important to focus on.
If you're a red line, if genocide doesn't activate you, what happened to your soul? I've been covering this ever since I started as a citizen journalist, way before October 7th. And feel free, Samala, this is the open panel. If you guys want to share your thoughts, I won't get upset if you guys interject. But so I saw you on mute. Feel free to chime in. But this was an issue that I always was passionate about. There's an old tweet I'll show you guys when I listed reasons not to vote for Joe Biden. I said his diehard support of the genocidal state of Israel way before October 7th, because the Zionist entity has always been genocidal. And if this doesn't activate and mobilize you, why are you even in politics? But Suhad, I'll keep my ranting to a minimal. I want to get this Suhad to join us. Thank you for your time. Once again, opening statements. I'm very vague on this. I want to get your thoughts. The general theme, or at least the opening, is the importance of solidarity. So Suhad, feel free to chime in.
Salam, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Nordine, for your vote of confidence. I hope I live up to it today. With everything that's happening right now, it's really very difficult for one to think, even more so think in English, because I have left the United States 3 years ago after living in it for 17 years and organizing in Ferguson within the Palestine contingent. And it's been so relieving, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It's been so liberating to think in Arabic, not in English, for change. Because here in those 3 years, we don't use the word solidarity here, because we see each other as Arab speakers across Africa all the way into Asia, with Gaza being the entrance between the two. We see ourselves as one. We know that our colonizer is one. So you don't stand in solidarity with yourself. So the word solidarity, it means a whole lot to me, because this was what got me into organizing the way I did it when I was in Ferguson. But you build on it with time, and you understand the stories, even though you haven't lived them, even though you don't know the details of them, but you know them. You've seen them before, you're living them. And so you don't stand in solidarity with your actual family, you know what I mean? So the word we use here is we got each other's back. That's how we do it. We got each other's back. And we don't got each other's back because poor Palestinians, they need help right now. No, because we're all on the same ship, and it's a sinking ship. So we have a choice right now in this moment to choose between what's right and what's false. حق وباطل in Arabic we say, truth and the opposite of truth, as Ajamu Baraka was saying. Because Israel is not, yes, it has attached itself to imperialism, but Israel is not a state. It's an army that a state was created upon, right? Israel is the remnants. My dog is going to go off for five more.
Yeah, no worries.
And now he's going to stop because someone is walking into the door.
Yeah, it's all good. We're just chilling, having a great conversation. It's all good.
But Israel was the outcome of the First and the Second World Wars, because it's the only remaining colonial presence, and it's an extension of what Ajamu Baraka was talking about, the British imperialism and colonialism. And so when Palestinians are fighting that, they are the ones who are trying to end the First and the Second World War. And they are being left alone to fight it, because we're all busy all around the world. We as Palestinians in exile in the United States, Black people in the United States, we're all busy with Congress. We're all busy to find out, what can this system do to us? We leave a land full of beauty and things to grow, and we go into a swamp and try to bring life out of it. Like, it's just not going to happen. I think my opening statement is that we're not in solidarity with each other. We just got each other's backs. We're figuring out ways to become reasons for victory over this scary monster that is imperialism, that is the United States empire and Zionism overall. And we need to figure out the words to tell that story as we live it, so that generations after us remember it and learn from it and build on it, so this never happens to us again.
That's such a great perspective. I had Shahid Bosen on, and he gave a great speech. I'll pass it to you, Rome. If you guys want to chime in, you can unmute. We're having a great conversation. I had Shahid Bosen on. He explained how we need to, when I asked him for advice on how we can help resist this global imperial machine, he said, don't even think yourself as Americans. Stop thinking yourself as singular entities. And you make a great point, Suhad, and very thought-provoking, because even the question itself shows how Americans are programmed. The fact that we even have this discussion, and this is why I have a lot of disdain for the professional managerial class, fake, progressive left, because what you said will blow their mind because they don't even have solidarity. They demand unity. And this is a concept that we talk about all the time where I hate the concept of unity. Like unity is control. Unity is demanding people take your side without any demands, without any asks, without anything they get in return. The concept of solidarity, which you explained so eloquently, is the fact that I have your back no matter what, even if it don't benefit me. I will have your back. And through this solidarity, we win and we are victorious in struggle. So let's go around on that concept. I see Rome, you unmuted. James, I know you don't have a lot of time, so I want to pass it to you one more time before you get out here. I'm going to take Zoya to see what happened with Ajamu. Ajamu Baraka was scheduled, but things happen. So maybe we can get him back on. Actually, let's go James first. I know you're limited on time. James, Rome, and then I will pass it to the panel if you guys have any thoughts before I continue.
Yeah. Solidarity is not a transactional term. And with that being said, one of the biggest issues I think that is lacking is looking at this from an intersectional lens, right? If I can share my screen really quick.
Yeah,
I wanted to share this really quick. This is the definition from intersectionality. And this was actually coined by Kimberly Crenshaw. It said intersectionality is a term coined by legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. It originated as a way to discuss how systems of oppression overlap and create distinct experiences for people with multiple identity categories. It says, while this term was created by Crenshaw to explain the unique experiences that Black women face in addition to racism and sexism, the world has continued to encompass more identities. Today, intersectionality acknowledges that we must consider everything that can marginalize people, gender, race, class, sexual orientation, physical ability, etc., and that these forms of oppression can't overlap. Intersectionality is very integral in political, social issues and can be popularly seen in women's rights movement. Now, the thing is that a lot of times we don't look at how our liberation is tied to the liberation of other groups. And I'm not just meaning Palestinians. I'm talking about how our liberation is tied to the groups of immigrants. Our liberation is tied to the liberation of LGBTQ people. Our liberation is tied to people who may be of Asian descent, or it could be people who are disabled. But our liberation is constantly tied because we are in an all-encompassing system. And this all-encompassing system, meaning we all have the same enemy. And of course, there is this fight that's going on where people go, well, these people are anti-Black. My question is, number one, why are we painting an entire group with a broad brush and overly generalizing? Number one, because we don't like it when we do that. And by that very notion, if our intersectional liberation is transactional, then this gives me the ability to say as a gay man that because there is a lot of homophobia, transphobia, queerphobia in the Black community, I will just leave the Black community alone. And so they do not have they don't get my support at all for any type of liberation. But I don't do that. Why? Because helping to liberate a disenfranchised, marginalized people is the right thing to do. Now, that's not goes without saying that I won't still fight for my community. We can still fight for our own community while standing with the Palestinian people. And the Palestinian people are not asking us to fight for them. They're asking us to stand alongside them. And the same thing vice versa. We're asking them to stand alongside us when it comes to what we're dealing with, which has been happening for decades. And so all this is really stemmed from just a few bad actors or a few actors that are just not, saying things in the correct way. They maybe have been out of line. And so now you have people on both sides going, pointing fingers. And somebody said this in the TikTok. our problem isn't really that we disagree with liberation. It's really just tactics. That's all it really is. And so when people talk about there's this huge divide, it's also being drummed up by the powers that be, because they want.
That's why I call it a psyop. It's very important to understand when, like, they are active. Like they don't. Oh, psyops isn't a thing of a past. They constantly engage in it with this. Yeah. We exposed on the channel K-Hive, the bot network that was pushing this. That's from Correct the Record, and they just reprogrammed that from NAFO, the same bot that was pushing the Ukraine war. This is the information warfare that the Kamala Democratic Party apparatus engages in. It's important to specify that. Any last thoughts, James? I won't pass to Rome, and I won't get our guests back in here. James, any last thoughts? I interrupted you. So, James, any last thoughts?
No, I just think that it's important for us to continuously just stand with each other, and also look inward to any type of prejudices that we may have within ourselves and try to work through that so that we can stand with each other more clearly. I think that's one of the things that is necessary.
Rome, anything you want to add? I want to get my guests in here in this conversation after you're done.
Like I was saying earlier, and you brought this up about, claiming to be an American, and it's such a shame that we had so many great leaders, so many great minds in the Black community that taught generations upon generations, even after their deaths. And Malcolm X even explained to us not calling yourself or claiming to be an American. He said himself, and I feel the same way. I don't call myself an American. You can't sit at a diner when somebody's eating and your plate is empty and call yourself a diner. No, you can't call yourself an American when you are still a second-class citizen. And all this bullshit that people say, oh, America first. Man, these Black liberals don't give a fuck about Americans, because if they did, they would have been going after Joe Biden for all the Black people that they wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden in the first place, for all the Black people that he has locked away, that the lives that he has taken away from these people, the communities that he has destroyed, right? So if you're gonna say we're America first, or we Black America first, then okay, we can fight, but what is we really fighting? Is we fighting to stay a part of the empire, or is we fighting the empire? Because all of my leaders have taught me, never box yourself in. This is how you lose community. This isn't a great way of building. And this is what they are doing now. So all these liberals with this America First bullshit, and they acting like, it was another discord going on saying, oh, well, Black people can't be colonized because this and that. I'm sorry. And I have to be tougher on you guys because I'm from the Black community, but yes, the fuck you can. When you put when you go and you terrorize countries that had nothing to do with anything, when you go over there and kill them people, you killed them people for weapons of mass destruction. You killed them people and you got none out of it. Am I going to call you a colonizer? Fuck yes. Am I going to call you a murderer? Fuck yes. I don't get the same privileges that you guys do. If you say that we were lied to and manipulated and we were from these poor communities, that's why we had to go into that's why we have to go to the military, the Air Force, the Army, whatever it may be. Okay, well, have that same empathy for me when the government drugged me and left me outside and forced me into gangs. Y'all still call me a gang member. They forced me to sell drugs in my own community. Y'all would still call me a drug dealer. Y'all will look down on me with shame. So I'm not giving you that same, that same sentiment because you don't have it for me. You know what I'm saying? For the niggas who didn't give up and get out, like, yeah, we sold out in our own fucking ways. I sold drugs. I did what I had to do. You did what you had to do, but I didn't go over to another country and colonize the motherfucker for a little bit of education.
Yeah, and remember, Roman, I pissed a lot of people off because I told people there's no honor of being a U.S. veteran. The fuck out of here. Because we all make sacrifices living in this broken system. What they decide to do is because they want free college, they're gonna go and sign up and be part of this instrument of murder and death. Rome, I pass to you for last thoughts. I'll pass it back. I'm gonna go in the opposite order. I'll go to you first. Go ahead, Rome.
Yeah. I was kind of ranting, but you know, I got to be tougher on the black community because this is where we came from. And if we're not tough on each other, then who will? Who will have the balls to sit here and tell the black people the truth? You can't be colonizer. If you are a part of this empire, if you want to hold up any part of American imperialism over solidarity, I know you guys don't use it, whatever the fuck, whatever your words is. If you want to hold up the empire in any way, yes, you can be considered a colonizer. Is Barack Obama a colonizer? Fuck yes. Look what he did to Libya and Gaddafi. Come on now, you know what I'm saying? Just because we was forced into certain things don't mean that you have to make that choice, because we still make choices even though we are forced in certain situations due to the lack of resources, the poverty that's running through our neighborhoods, the lack of schools, wherever it may be. But we still have a fucking choice. You know, I won't pick up a gun for a recruiter, but I'll pick up a gun for you or anybody on this panel. So make your choice. We made ours.
I just want to jump in. I just have a lot of
free.
things on my mind right now.
Feel
This
free.
is a huge psyop, and I think it's affecting us in different ways. And I think we just, regardless of how we may disagree or feel inside, I think number one, center those in Gaza. So when we talk about, you know, examine yourself, examine, you know, your biases, wherever that comes from, I agree. We always should do that. But when you're saying that, like, imagine saying that to a child in Gaza who lost a limb. Examine your biases. Examine, are you racist? That's what you're doing. That's how it feels. When you're telling a Palestinian, well, you know, they are racist. Maybe they do have biases, and that maybe, even if that is true, like when you center the people who are suffering the most at the hands of the empire, it really puts everything into perspective. It's like, regardless, this child does not deserve to be obliterated into a million pieces. And I'm sorry if that comes across as rash, but that's just where my mind goes. And we all have to examine our communities and the racism that exists in our communities always. But when we think about, you know, when we center what's happening now, live on our screens at this moment, I feel like it just puts things into perspective.
I want to get Suhad in here, and then we go to Somalia after that.
I want to start where Rome, I think, ended with saying, I know you don't want to use the word solidarity. You can use that word. You can do anything you want with that word. You did well. You're thinking in the right direction. But كمان to connect it to what Noordine was saying and what James was saying about, and I heard it repeat more than once. Again, me not being in the US, I don't have to like pay attention to things that I choose not to pay attention to, even though it's like in my face. And I've seen the videos about like how Black people are saying things about Palestinians and Palestinians are saying bad things about Black people on social media. I saw some of the videos as much as I could, for God's sake, because they're just so stupid. But the thing that happened as soon as I saw them is me remembering the timing that videos like these emerged originally during Ferguson. I mean, the Palestine Black solidarity goes a lot deeper than that, but that was the one I was present for. And the way people on the streets, I used to still be an institution person. Forgive me, at some point I was an institution person. We all had to do, we had to go through our journeys to understand capitalist America and all of that. But نحن people who used to organize through institutions during that time, we used to be in meeting rooms. But whenever you go on the streets, from the first day in Ferguson, there were Black people holding Palestinian flags with the Dome of the Rock on them in the middle of Ferguson.
Man.
Before institutions even found words to define it as Palestine Black contingent, you know, those words, the identity politics they have to sprinkle and everything. Before that happened, kids in Gaza who just survived a genocide at the time were sending Black young people on the streets of Ferguson, telling them, no, This is how you survive tear gas. And black youth in Ferguson holding Palestinian flags. Lissa, the institution hasn't touched anything. And then the institution comes with its venom in the water. And then you start hearing what you guys are talking about here in this room about these people that pop up. Hala, the thing is, we're never all going to be the same. Yani, when people say Palestinians, sometimes I take offense because I'm not like most Palestinians. Like I'm different from people in my own family about my views, about who I become as a person. And I know that each one of us in this room is like that. So I feel like when we say Palestinian people, black people, it's like we're lumping everybody in the same category. And that's not the truth. Like there are resistance fighters within the black people movement. There are resistance fighters within the Palestinian people's movement. And those freedom fighters, they end up meeting each other the way we are right now. And maybe in a few more years, there will be more and more people. What matters right now is, I know that the noise is so loud. I'm not saying we can't be distracted by it, but we also need to figure out, like, what are the things that we've been repeating for so long that haven't gotten us anywhere? In Quran, for example, in Quran, it says that humanity is beautiful because humanity is different. وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لَتَعَارَفُوا. The whole purpose of us being different from each other, is to meet each other. So when you say religion in Arabic, religion means the way. It doesn't matter what your religion is at the end of the day. Some religions turn into cults. Like, I mean, we've seen what happened in Israel. It's a cult. This is not about religions. But in the people who believe in the best case scenario that the good will always prevail, they end up walking on the same path. Doesn't matter what their tribe is. In Arabic, we use the word tribe, shu'ub and qaba'il, people and tribes. We don't focus on anything else because we are not as controlled by liberal narratives. And that's what I work, and that's one of the things that have really, I promise you, has been so liberating to me since I left the United States. Leaving the United States, Ram, to what you were saying about us being colonizers, I'm a Palestinian whose father had to run on foot for 3 days with a bullet in his leg to survive a genocide like the one that's happening in Gaza right now. My own father, it's not like I heard about it from my great, it's like so close to me right now. And the only way for me to survive, according to feminist ideals, is to leave to live in the United States as a colonizer. So that messed me up. And I worked in Silicon Valley companies, the source of all evils, that I really thought was a step up in my career. Like, now I'm proving myself to the world. And then you find out after a while that money is not doing anything for you to be fulfilled on the inside. It doesn't mean anything. And in the United States, the thing that I worry about the most about my fam in the United States, about my comrades in the United States, is that how are you going to disconnect from a system that has you by the neck? So of course, these mistakes are going to happen on Twitter. And sometimes we will not find anything to say about it because it's just so far away from who we are and what we think. But what's really important is that we continue to talk to each other and continue to work on the language so that me and Rome find a way to replace the word solidarity and say something. We come up with our own language.
Yeah,
or else the Arabic language, the Arabic explanation.
Yeah, that's why these conversations are extremely important, and I'm greatly enjoying this because your perspective, the way you think about this, is slightly different from me. But we are learning a lot from your previous experience. Like the way you describe solidarity make 100% sense to me, and it's very important for us to share these ideas. And I want to pass it to Samaya. I think you was next. I saw you on mute. And after Samaya, I think we had a great warm up. I'm gonna show you guys, for the people who are less online than I am, because not everyone knows exactly what we're talking about. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to just give you guys a few examples of this very obvious siop that's going on, and then I'll pass it to the panel so we can respond to it. But before I do that, Samaya, anything you want to chime in on before I move on?
Yes, thank you. Suhad, you mentioned a lot of great points, and everyone here actually today. I want to touch up on a few of them, and starting with that is Ferguson. I don't know if we all remember Bassem Masri. He was a Palestinian that that was reminded by Palestine from Ferguson. He says, "I'm reminded of Palestine" when he was in that space, and we saw Bassem show the solidarity that we're talking of, the "I got your back." That we're talking about, because you recognize the systems that oppress you. You recognize that no matter who you are, what color you are, these systems are meant to keep someone down. And if we don't basically stick up and have each other's backs, we're never gonna leave this loop. I also want to mention that when we were talking earlier about the host that you had, or when you had Kimberly Crenshaw on your podcast, I think of her as a prime example of like a scary liberal tool for many reasons. But the main one is because if you look at any like posts that she's had, she refuses, or she stands or shies away from mentioning Palestine, from mentioning the word Gaza, from mentioning like flat out and being vocal.
What was the name again? I didn't. Who were you mentioning again?
Crenshaw.
Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm. Kimberly, the AAA Policy Forum co-founder.
The quote that I read earlier.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, did we have her on? But no, sorry, go ahead, Smala.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who he was talking about, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we need to be kind of careful with the people that we put on pedestals because of that. We don't want to give them too much of a voice, because they're not giving the issues that are going on the right way of representation. We're not showing like for example, what was going on in colleges. She was speaking for what was going on in a very shy way. She wasn't mentioning what was truly like happening to these students and why it was happening. And it was because they were vocal about Philistine and Palestine. So we need to make sure that we kind of take education as a way. We need to be scared of the way that people infiltrate the education system. For example, I'm Palestinian myself, and the people that I was organizing with on campus were not they were Palestinian, yes, but they weren't the same Palestinian as I am. Like Suhad mentioned, some of us in the US are still in this delusion of I have a future here, and I can't do this because I have something here for me. And that I saw was such a detriment to our movement on campus. We had really bad negotiation teams. Like, we shouldn't be negotiating with Nazis. We shouldn't be cheering up these people. We don't owe them anything. They're the ones that need to basically like apologize for all of this that they are committing against us and our people. We should not like find it as a victory that these people are giving us even like a conversation. That's not what we want. We did not want that. We want to disrupt the system. We don't care if this dean allows us to have a conversation with him. Like, he should be the one that's like fearful of us, the student body, because we're the ones that have the power. And that just shows you the students I was organizing with, they came from really wealthy backgrounds. They came from backgrounds that they didn't have to struggle as much. I lived in Palestine. I was able to see my people. I have a connection with my people. They keep me in check. A lot of the people that I worked with here on university campuses, they lost that. Their family has been here for generations. They are fighting for Palestine because it's an issue that they see right now, but they don't see liberation as the forefront. They see the genocide as a forefront, but we care about liberation. This is happening because we are so far from thinking about liberation as the number one mission. And we should, I think, always have that as our basically North Star, and think about the Thawabit at any moment and every moment, and don't allow like capitalistic language to enter our spaces, especially in organizing and especially in fighting for Palestine.
Yeah, can I respond really quick? The reason for me doing that quote was less about Kimberly Crenshaw and more about the definition of intersectionality. And so I thought it was important because the thing is, a lot of times we actually do have many different identities that intersect, that are really, oppressed through the capitalist system, that, that we all are enduring. It's through the capitalist system, it's through imperialism. So that's one of the reasons why I felt it necessary to quote that part, and also making the distinction about how we have these different intersections. And so we have to put ourselves, we have to look at how not only we treat others outside of our community, but also within our communities and whatnot. So that was really what I was trying to get at. It wasn't to quote somebody that was a liberal. I hope that I wasn't construed that way, but that's what I was meaning.
Absolutely, James. And I don't mean to personally attack you by any means, but I do want to make it apparent that when we talk about intersectionality, it's basically a co-option of identity politics. Because why do we need, like Sahad mentioned, why do we need to have this intersectionality be the leading way when we recognize that the system oppresses all? We don't need to have the intersectionality be the point of talking.
Well, because it does this, it does it in specific ways and for specific groups of people, and I think that's important to talk about too. Because I mean, like for instance, have Palestinians endured chattel slavery? You know what I'm saying? Like that's particularly special for us, and so I think that's also important to bring up as well. Because if we don't also talk about these things and how capitalism and imperialism, feed into that, then of course we're not going to see the it's just like if I go to a hospital, we're not going to treat every single patient the exact same way for the perceived same ailment. There may be different types of ways that we can treat that person, for different diseases. So
can I say something here too? Because James, first of all, I don't want to be compared to a sick person. I'm just saying. But even if I was, it does not depend on where I am in my life right now, based on how imperialism defined me. Like imperialism defined me as this. Like when we say intersectionality, my question the whole time when you were reading it, like, who decided the section? You know what I mean? Like, what is the section? How does it become inter? How does it enter? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I keep going up. Like I keep going to where Frantz Fanon was, for example. There's a chapter. White people are so consumed by reading Frantz Fanon's chapter on violence. I'm not saying that it's not important, but also I think we as thinkers, and we having this platform as an alternative learning space, we should definitely not just read the chapter on culture that he has in his Wretched of the Earth. We need to study it and learn it by heart, because it's telling us, step by step, how is liberal white media colonizing each one of us in different ways, when the things that we have, like child slavery, for example, that's not true. There are more than, I don't want to give numbers, but at least more than 800 children in Gaza right now that have been lost. We don't know where they are. And this is not the first time. There were so many Palestinian children that have been lost. And there are clear ties between Jeffrey Epstein, who ran the largest sex trafficking network in the world, and the Zionist Israeli establishment. So there are things about Black struggle that we already know, and there are things about Palestinian struggle that we are now learning. And we don't have to have the full picture and have this for that, so that we act upon it. We should act upon it, because now we all know that it's happened. If it happened to all of us, this means it's going to happen to more people, and then it's just going to eat itself up and kill humanity altogether, right? Again, that's why I say we're on the same ship, because this is not about Palestinians surviving a genocide. This is about, if genocide has been let to happen for 10 months, with all of our international courts, with all of our knowledge about our struggles, with all of our movements, with all of our solidarity networks, then if it can continue for 10 months, then there's something we're doing wrong. We're understanding certain things wrong. And maybe intersectionality becomes one of it. لأنه when Sumaya was saying our goal needs to be liberation, my thought was liberation from what? And when you were saying about talking about intersectionality, I was like, sectionality of what? You know what I mean? And so if it's always us and you, and it's يعني نحن, our ancestors are the same. Our ancestors are Abraham, Muhammad, Jesus. Those are our ancestors. Those are the men who walked our land, men and women who walked on our land. What the colonial did to us, how they exiled us, how did they practice it, doesn't matter. What matters is that we belong to this land and we are being killed because we're from it. Everywhere
I just
we
want
are
to
in
jump
the world.
in, say, yeah,
Yeah, after that, we really do gotta get back on track, guys. Like
Yeah.
we have things we gotta cover. But go ahead, Rome.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, yes, people can say, oh, we're from this community, that community. Yes, we are all from different parts of this world. America is big enough itself. The thing is, a community cannot build itself. It cannot run off its own resources that's in the ground. We need stuff from the Middle East. The Middle East need to trade with us. This world works together. So just like how we share resources, we should be thinking about this on a grander scale. We should be thinking about this from person to person. Because look, yes, we are from different communities, different backgrounds, may speak different languages and whatever it may be. But everybody on this earth needs the same thing: freedom, liberation, or revolution. All of our people need some type of revolution. Everybody on this panel right now, their people went through some type of genocide, is going through some type of genocide, is going to be facing genocide, because guess what? If they can sit here and bomb or watch Palestinian children be blown to death, they have no problem with doing it to your own children, which we already have the knowledge that America has blown up black cities, not just Black Wall Street. They have bombed city after city in America, has killed us, did race wars, and put man-made lakes where our cities were at. If they can do this to the Palestinians, they will do this to the black communities, and they will do it to the poor whites and anybody else that they feel like is a nuisance to American imperialism. So yes, like I said, we need our communities. Yes, community is good. Keep it strong. But we also need to trade within these communities. We also need to talk to people from different communities, because your community is not going to build itself. And if you can find a way to build a community from the resources that you have up under your feet, it won't last long without the rest of the world. This is how the world works. If you don't want to work with the world, then you can box yourself off. But I would be a fool if I was just to leave the black community out just to be, okay, it's black people, and then what? Like, we're not fighting the front lines for this shit no more. We're not fighting the front lines for this shit no more. So yes.
Yeah, I want to, because there are people in the chat like don't even know what we're talking about. So I wanted to introduce why this whole drama started. But I'm a revolutionary.
It's not drama.
No. I mean, like conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm a revolutionary at the end of the day, and I believe in taking out the Zionist, capitalist, imperialist regime. And when you look at imperialism, it's the height of capitalism. That's why capitalism is my main target. Zionism is the main driver of that. That's where all these terms, all these stuff is. That's when we get into academia talk. But at the end of the day, we are for revolution, and we know who our enemies are. It doesn't matter who benefit from taking this entity out. My people will benefit from taking out the Zionist entity that trained the NYPD. When I look at the millions of Arabs that was murdered during the Iraq War, they would benefit from the destruction of the Zionist regime. When I look at my Chinese brothers and sisters that have their sovereignty attacked by the United States, they will be benefit from the destruction of the regime. When you see Africa being carved up by the IMF and they being economically destroyed because of austerity, we need to take that out. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. But I'm gonna show you guys the obvious siop, because they are worried, as I showed, just to rewind a little bit where we left off at, where you have AIPAC, you had ADL, and there was a leaked call that I showed earlier where they acknowledge how black radicals is the number one threat domestically, I should say, because I think Hamas and Hezbollah is doing a lot of damage. They're the most effective forms of the resistance, in my opinion. But within domestic politics, the young black generation that is not buying the Zionist regime. So now we're on this point. We got the obvious psyop that I was talking about. And now psyop is a psychological operation. That's what it means. So in order for psyops to work, they trick and they manipulate, and I'm sorry because I have no nicer term for this, but they manipulate the dumbest among us. You know what I mean? Think about, and I'm not trying to be mean, I just got no better way to explain it. Think about how dumb the average person is, and I'll think about someone who's below average. Those are the people who fall for the psychological operations, and that's why psychological operations are successful. It starts from the ruling class who are full of smart people and know what they are doing. Malcolm Nance and all the black liberals know exactly what they're doing, and they're not the victims of the psyop. It's the dummies, it's the colonized brains, the people who are not developed intellectually. Once again, I got no nicer way to say it. I'm gonna show you guys a few examples here. They fall for the psychological operation. That's why I am not one of the people that mix my words. I'm gonna call psyop exactly what it is. So here's Malcolm Nance, and he's the black guy who fought for banned right Nazis in Ukraine, supported every war of the empire. The enemy. He said the Free Palestine movement openly shows contempt for African Americans. You see what the job of the black liberal is? They think we will join their murder-suicide campaign and help destroy American democracy with Trump for their single issue. Wrong, pro-Palestinian people are openly racist towards Harris Wall. So when I saw this and I saw all the black liberal blue checks, and it was all at the same time. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just getting the audience caught up. And I'll pass it to Nardine and Samala to go first on your reaction to this. But when you see all this happen at one time, we got to be educated, my friends. It's the most obvious, desperate psyop attempt I have ever seen in my life because Kamala Harris was hit with a protest and the Democratic Party establishment started panicking. And then that led to these dumb videos. Once again, these people may or may not be CIA. They may or may not be DNC because we know that, and this was revealed. I'm not bullshitting. It was revealed that the Biden administration hired TikTok influencers, put millions of dollars to hire TikTok influencers. So this may or may not be them, but they may be victims of the psychological operation I was telling you about that manipulates the dumbest among us. Once again, if there's a better way to say it, let me know. I can't think of a better way to say it. So I'm gonna show you guys just two videos because we're not gonna loathe and this bullshit, right? I'm gonna give you guys just two quick examples of the nonsense that we are trying to do today.
You know what? At this point, I will happily take it out of my bio because if that's really how y'all feel, as if Donald Trump gives a damn about Palestine, fine. I will take it out of my bio. I will never speak about it ever again. Trust me, I will.
So you have this idiot colonized brain who believe that if you don't attack and you don't antagonize the empire, somehow the empire will have our back. And she is willing to give up her pretend principle supporting genocide in order to support her favorite genocidal girl boss. The last part of my presentation to show you guys how disgusting this is. There is nobody in the hood that talks like this. There's no one in the hood, and I swear to God, it's my life experience. I know this anecdotal, but you cannot convince me that any real motherfucker in the hood actually talks like this. Where you see this, and if you look at the people who sharing it, all Zionists, all DNC operatives. And I know I went on a long explanation by explaining it, but I'll read this one once again. The last thing I'm gonna show you guys because I really don't want to wallow in this too much. I'm just catching people up. This is a tweet that went viral. They got dragged, but they also were supported by the liberal class. I told y'all about them watermelon people 8 months ago.
Especially with the propaganda. Especially about the propaganda with black people and watermelons and all that.
Yeah, it's no. Why would anyone? Go ahead, Suhan. Let's fight our panel. Suhan and Nardine.
Can I say something? Sorry, Nardine, if you want to go ahead, please.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say that watermelon thing is. I saw that this morning, and I was like, "Wow, that's desperate." Like you said, this is all so desperate in my view. And at the end of the day, like we all have the same class enemy, and regardless of what skin color you are, if you benefit from the, the system, you will use you will weaponize your identity in a way that shuts down actual real people who are fighting against this. Like at the beginning, Nick, you said you hate the word unity. I hate that word because it's something that has been weaponized against Palestinians who are principled and who vehemently, basically all we do is hold our own community accountable. That's like the main thing we do, is go after our own, because in our community we also weaponize our identities to benefit from the system. Mahmoud Abbas is the biggest traitor of them all. He's Palestinian. Like your identity is not a prerequisite to being in actual solidarity, if we want to use that word for now, with people who are, suffering genocide right now. But yeah, Suhad, what were you gonna say? Yeah.
I was gonna be a little contrarian and say that I do agree with Miss Shambles, whatever their name was, because I really hate it. It's me. Oh, hear me out. I really hate it when people refer to Palestinian people, the grandchildren of all of these prophets, as the watermelon people. Like, let me give you, I'm an artist. I'll tell you the story of how the watermelon came about. طيب, as an artist. I don't know the exact artist because there are different stories in different places. But basically, one of the artists thought, no, people can't show their Palestinian flag because it's against the law now. Because, the law is great and it figures everything out. But no, Palestinian flag is banned. طيب? Great. So this artist comes up with the watermelon because it has the same colors. Okay, great. Some stories say that this happened, I don't know, sometime in the 70s. And some stories say that it happened like more recently. Halla. What happened during the Intifada, which was basically the beginning of the Palestinian resistance movement, they didn't have rockets like they have now. They didn't have arms. They fought with rocks, actual rocks. A child with a rock against a tank. Lifting the Palestinian flag during that time was also punishable by law, but not punishable as like a fine. No, like people would get killed for making the flags, for carrying the flags. So my people died so that they can carry that flag. So when people exchange it for a watermelon, I feel like it's disrespectful for our martyrs, for our shuhada. Right? Right? And so now you look at who uses the watermelon. It's the bougie Palestinians. It's the compradore. The people who build with the black bourgeoisie, that build with the 1%, whatever you want to call them. And they change in Quran. Again, I keep going back to Quran because my relationship with it was not very strong until I started really studying it linguistically. There is a verse that says أعوذ من شر النفاثات في العقد. النفاثات, it's like you're blowing something, you're accelerating something, but in a negative way, like you're spewing venom into it. And العقد means the complexities. So there is a verse that asks people every day to repeat it. Our parents taught us to repeat it every night before we sleep, and we repeated it without actually knowing what it meant. But it actually means, I ask God to protect me for those who spew venom in our complexities. Not our complexities as Palestinians versus Black people, because it's actually really ridiculous when we say that, because there are Black Palestinians. Yeah. How are we going to differentiate our skin tones based on what white people decided for us as an identity in the first place, right? And so it's not something that is, the complexities are not just amongst us as people of color. It's complexities on so many levels from different religions and within the family. And so that's why I think that, yeah, I agree with her. Like, I also told you about the watermelon people because those are the bougie Palestinians that I don't want to organize with. I don't want to talk with. I don't want to build with. I can't.
I actually would love to pick your brain about
and I don't want to anymore.
Suhad, Nardine, and Sumala, I would actually love to pick your guys' brain on this because you guys would know more about this than me. Because me and Rome, remember when we got in so much trouble when we were making fun of John Lewis? You know, the person who sold out Africa, the person who he lobbied for giving up congressional approval for starting for war because he was the lead architect that helped Obama get Libya accomplished. Because he said, "Oh no, we can't have congressional approval." That John Lewis, you know, the civil rights icon, John Lewis died, and let's just say me and Rome had some fun that day, educating people about who this motherfucker was. There's no honor of you giving a speech in the 60s and then you cashing out on that speech and becoming one of the lead chief architects of the empire. John Lewis supported every single war of Obama, and I'm very regretful that Ajamu probably has some tech issues, something he couldn't make it today. Who knows? Things like that can happen. But Ajamu explained it very well. He probably will explain it today, how Barack Obama was such a giant win for the empire. Because before Barack Obama, a lot of the Gen X, boomer, black people was resistant of the empire. Then Barack Obama got in charge, and it was a generational shift where all the same generation of black people who were distrustful of war because of George Bush, they became neocon-like. Start supporting Syria. So what I am getting at is I have a ton of frustrations with the black bourgeoisie liberal class. These are the people you see on CNN. You would never see any one of us on CNN, for example. No. So I want to ask you your experience.
Al Jazeera too. English.
I would love for you to speak on more on that because we're having a great open conversation. And my first ever go ahead, Suad.
I want to give space for Sumaya because I think I spoke before my turn.
Suhad, go ahead.
You want to chime in?
Suhad, go ahead. I am honestly in learning, but I agree with every point you've addressed. The watermelon has been such a point of frustration for me and several other people. Like I mentioned earlier, the organizing that on campuses. I speak about that a lot because I just graduated. I'm 22 years old, so a lot of you guys have a lot more years on me and a lot more experience and knowledge. So this is very useful and helpful, but it's noticeable. So like the people that are on these campuses and we're very odd and eerie to us were these watermelon Palestinians. They were the people that would come to the encampments dressed up like they were going to an engagement. They were the people that would come and take photos at the encampment like it was some sort of like publicity stunt. And we Palestinians recognize that within our people because it's not a foreign topic to us. Even back home, we have Sulta folks. We have that everywhere. We know how to recognize it. We know when someone wants the right to return, wants to go back, and when someone is here to fight for their people back home, quote unquote, and how they mention it without like actually attaching themselves and attaching the right to return with that and including themselves in it. I've had a lot of struggles with folks who kind of give me a little backlash for being a little more outspoken and vocal and not wanting to sugarcoat with like a watermelon symbol. Like our people are the people where our martyrs dug up with a spoon. Like I'd be surprised if a spoon would be our, like I would love for a spoon to be our symbol, not a batiha. Like it just speaks against all of the morals that our martyrs hold, all of their advice that they give us before they are martyred and before they become shuhada and Allah. Like they tell us to be outspoken, to learn, and to be unapologetic, especially in the place where we can be. In Palestine, they had a lot of backlash, and they still fought for the neck to hold the flag up. So why are we in the belly of the beast being fearful and walking on eggshells? Like Suhad had mentioned, it's disgraceful.
Yeah, I'll pass to you, Ronk. I know you want to chime in, but I don't know if it would be tasteful for me to ever use the term watermelon Palestinian to talk about the class trader. I don't think I can use it. I don't think I will because I think that's
go ahead and use solidarity, but please don't use the watermelon, please.
No, I actually did.
I'll talk with you on solidarity, but not the other one.
I actually did a video about this because even as somebody who's outside of the Palestinian movements and outside of y'all communities and whatnot, I'm touched in, but I'm not a part of you guys or whatnot. Even I seen it from the outside in because I watched a lot of TikToks. I get a lot of information from TikTok and whatnot, and it was just a shift that people was doing. I see the watermelon emoji in their name, and they're talking about saving democracy, Kamala Harris, and blah blah blah. And then I go on Twitter and somebody said, oh, "I'm sorry, I'm not a watermelon so and so. I'm not a triangle so and so. I'm a watermelon so and so." I'm like, okay. And I did a video about this. I said, does it surprise me that a lot of these watermelon emoji people are going for Kamala Harris? No, because that is one of the most important jobs for American liberal to have, is to hide behind oppressed people, invade your spaces and your communities, and then turn around and use those same spaces and communities against you, just like they are doing right now. Like all these people, oh, I'm going to take this emoji out of my bio. I'm never going to speak on it. I'm not going to speak on it again. It's because that was your job. You know what I'm saying? You are just doing your job, and that's where I've been seeing it coming. They did the same thing with Standing Rock. They left the natives of Standing Rock is still fighting to this day. They left those people out there hanging. They did the same thing to Occupy Wall Street. They did the same thing to sanctions of Black Lives Matter, and all of it. Like soon Joe Biden got in office, everybody just stopped rioting for some reason. We're just not mad anymore, right? We see it everywhere, and if you don't catch on to the signs, you're gonna fall for it every time.
Anyone from the panel want to chime in? We have an open panel, great conversation. Go ahead,
Suhaib. While you were talking about Obama, while Ferguson was going on, Obama did something that, I know when Obama won, I called my aunt. She's the only aunt I have in the United States. And we were both sobbing. The first time he won, we were sobbing. We were so happy that we were sobbing on the phone. We donated money we don't have. We canvassed. We did whatever it took. We are American citizens. And if I'm not wrong, I think it was the first time I ever voted as an American citizen. And that was probably the last. I'm never, ever going to do that again. But while Ferguson was going on, Mike Brown, Allah yarhamu, 18-year-old, 8 shots right in front of his house, 4.5 hours left in the August sun of St. Louis, uncovered in front of the whole neighborhood to see. And an uprising happens. CNN is calling them thugs. Fox is agreeing with them for a change. Thugs. All of the protesters are thugs. Until young men like Bassem Masri that Sumaya mentioned, Habibi, Allah yarhamu, until young men like Bassem, who lived in Ferguson, decided, he just wants, live streaming was new at the time. He decided to live stream what's going on. And then CNN and Fox were shut down instantaneously. And then people understood where we are. Those who are with understood that this is an inspiration, this is my spiritual revolution. And people who are against thought, oh shit. A few days later, Obama decides to invite some of the leaders of Ferguson, including Bassem Masri, including youth from Ferguson. They refused to shake his hand. But for me, I don't understand anything at this point, and I don't understand how whiteness works. I don't know that there is whiteness in the first place. I grew up in Jordan watching Friends, and I thought racism was over up until then. No, khalas, it's done, right? For my simple brain in that moment, I'm seeing Obama use Ferguson youth for a photo op so that he can release the cams that the police were having at the time, so that, oh no, we're not going to stop shooting you. We're just going to record it now. And we're going to make ton of money to do it, right? So for me, he's Black and they are Black. And that's when I understood something that was so important to me to understand. This is about right and wrong. This is not about what tribe are you in. Again, I go back to Quran because imperialism wants to break us into little pieces so that it can create identity politics, so that we cannot have honest conversations, right? Where we disagree on watermelons, for example. But Quran takes you to a much higher level. And actually, I did a comparison between the word spirit in Quran, Torah, and the Bible. because it is one of the two words that I found that are consistent, that are trying to tell us something: the spirit and light. Those are the two words, and evil, obviously. But the spirit in Arabic language, it means al-ilm, the knowledge. And so when we lose Shaheed, we say peace to his spirit, because peace to his knowledge that he has left in this world, the things that he fought for, the people that he has inspired. May that be blessed so that he can stay alive. And that's why people in Gaza, you see them so strong, because they do not believe these people are gone. They still dream about them. They still feel their presence. They're still carrying their revenge for them, for their loss. And so this is about those of us who have spirit versus those who don't. And capitalism makes everything about the material. You have to look like this celebrity. You have to know this song because everybody knows it. You have to dress this particular way. You have to repeat certain phrases that are so demeaning to us people of color, just so that we tell them, no, I'm black, but I'm not a thug. Oh, I'm Palestinian, but I'm not an anti-Semite. Like, who decided that language in the first place?
Yes.
Why are we perpetuating it in the first place? And now, how are we? Let's focus on our search for our spirit, for our knowledge. Our knowledge is as old as this earth itself. And now we have built civilizations, and we have discovered God, and we have connected with the stars, and we've built beautiful things. The United States, in all of its glory and all of its propaganda, the only culture it has is black culture, black and immigrant culture. How is this a state that doesn't have a culture without us, the ones who they colonized and enslaved and put under police rule? How is that possible? What kind of civilization is this? It's not a civilization. It's nothing, because it doesn't have a spirit. But we do, and we build communities because they've tried to destroy our communities. So we're rebuilding them through sharing our spirit with each other.
American culture is materialism. It's drinking beer. And I agree with your statement, and I always laugh at American culture. People want to say, "Oh, I'm proud to be American." Okay, stop taking antidepressants then. American culture is so bad, and I make people upset at this. I don't care. American culture is so bad that people gotta take pills to live and adjust to the society. Exactly. And people wonder why there's so much violence. People wonder why there's so much mass shooting. What do you guys think is the consequence of a society that's built on so much blood, genocide, a country that's destabilizing regions, sending weapons to Nazis overseas? Of course, you're gonna have society that replicate that kind of violence, that have this kind of depression. And if you think you're gonna be happy, that's why you see these wealthy people in empty homes. That money they sad because they sell their soul, think they're gonna get happiness out of it. I am a humble working class journalist. I'm not materialist. I don't make a lot of money, but I am happy knowing that I'm fighting against the empire and I'm standing in solidarity and community with people who want justice. And that's why you could never. I will never understand the sellout and that word, the ADL. And Rome, I'll pass it back to Palestine. The ADL and AIPAC that bragged in that leak call where we already got a lot of these black leaders paid off. The black leaders take bribes. Never in a million years can understand. How can you sleep yourself? How can you possibly sleep with yourself? And then people always say stupid stuff. Oh, money don't make you happy. No, it doesn't make you happy because you sold out. That's why it didn't make you. It doesn't make you happy because you don't live. You're not living with a purpose. But I don't want to rant too much. I still want to pick your guys' brain off you thing. We can probably go for another 30 minutes before we wrap up. I'll pass it to panel Nerdine, Samaya. Do you guys want to chime in, Rome? I'll pass it to the panel before I move on to my next little mini segment.
Yeah, I mean, something that, like, I'll just speak for myself, but seeing how people are exploiting this genocide right now, for example, and I see some comments about that, and I love it. This is like, this is actually such a crushing thing that we're seeing, and it's sick. It's like these people who are, okay, wow, everybody's paying attention to Palestine now, and we know how these things become trends and people postulate and make themselves like, okay, I'm a good person, so I'm just going to follow this trend. And when everybody's talking about it, it's safe to talk about it. That's why people feel more comfortable, but they'll always use liberal language when talking about it. A lot of people who claim to be in solidarity with us and look like they are in solidarity with us are fake, like, for lack of a better word, just plain fake. And a lot of people who you know, I've seen post a couple things here and there, and, you know, might have it even a watermelon in their bio. All of a sudden, why are they posting now Kamala right now? Because that's how quickly people sell out their morals and their integrity when they have a goal that is based in this material world. So for people who are still desperately holding on to, like, whatever it may be, like a job or a career path or a business venture, you know, people look at this, okay, this is my way out. I'm going to use my identity to say, well, you know, Kamala's a Black woman and I'm a Black woman, and so I'm just always going to vote for the Black woman president, because if I don't, then I'm not standing in unity with my people. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's why I hate the word unity, because, like, unity has nothing to do with race, and race is a social construct. We are all human beings of the same race, and we all suffer based on our positions in society through class. And those that are suffering the most are on the bottom of that. And there are a lot of people on the top of that have, like, look at it in Palestine, like, our colonizers aren't, a lot of people say, for example, you know, Palestine is like a white colony. These people are white colony. They're not just white. Like, actually, the majority of settlers are like Arab and African, and a lot of them mostly are Arab, like Arab Jews who came and colonized and saw, okay, this is a way for me to come and, you know, benefit from a system of colonization. It really has nothing to do with race. People who are decimating people in Gaza right now are Black, brown, white. It has not, like, race is such a, like, to diminish it, to, like, make it about race is such a disservice to actually what colonization has become right now in this moment in Palestine. So I think we always have to bring it back to class.
Well said. That's what we've been arguing for, what, 3.5 years now, Rome? I've been railing against the Black liberal class. I've been going so hard at these K-High frauds. Most of them have me blocked at this point. Because
it pisses me off, because these people love to quote Malcolm X when he say, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you loving hating the oppressed and loving the oppressor. But where did he quote that from? What speech was he talking about when he said that? He was talking about the struggle with Palestinians, the struggle and the interconnection between the Black communities and the Palestinian community. So y'all will quote that, but leave that out. And this is what I mean. It's like Bible study to these people. They treat our leaders like scriptures of the Bible. They take the good stuff and they just ignore all the bad shit. Like, oh no, God ain't drowned all. He ain't drowned all the Jews. No, fuck that. You know, it's just like you can't pick and choose. So if you're gonna quote Malcolm X, or any of our leaders who stood up for any other country outside, any other community outside our Black community, then you need to do it all. You need to learn where that quote came from. Why was he saying that at that time? And why is this shit still happening today? You want to know why it's still happening today? Because nobody else picked up the torch after they got shot in the fucking head. Nobody else picked up the torch and ran with it. And this is why our movements and our communities are still being interrupted. This is why the Palestinians are still going through what they're going through. This is why the people of Congo are still going through what they're going through, because we haven't stopped the empire here. If you guys want to stop the bleeding of the Palestinians, or the people of Congo, or the people of Sudan, then you have to stop the people who are stabbing them. You got to take the knife out of the people's hands. And if you are living in the heap, in the middle of the empire, that is the least that you can do. That is the least that you can do, is try to help stop the bleeding. We're not asking you to become a fucking surgeon. We're not asking you to, be some type of revolutionary, whatever. Do what you can to get the knife out of these people's hands. That's all we ask.
So Maya and Suha, do you guys want to chime in? I have one more presentation I want to do just to what they very definitively debunk the nonsense that's going on, explaining, trying to create this wedge between Palestinians and Black people. So I'm gonna ruthlessly debunk that. But before I do, I want to give you guys a chance to chime in before I do my last presentation. So Maya, you go first. Suhad, you can chime in. Nordine, feel free if you want to chime in if you want to as well at the end. So Mala, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. I think it's important to also remember and kind of ask yourself this question: what is the reaction of this person in front of me when they hear about this going on? For example, when we talk about like the bourgeoisie and like the upper class Palestinians, a lot of them opened up businesses during this time because they were there was this thing when it first happened, when the movement first started around October. People were like, support Palestinian businesses. That is not what anyone like back home, like people back home were calling me and they were saying like, what is going on? And honestly, I didn't have an answer. I didn't know how to explain the logic of Palestinian diaspora. I just couldn't fathom of like when people that look like you are genocided, your instinct is to open up a coffee shop and name it like Palestinian coffee. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy to me. And that's kind of
Watermelon.
exactly Sahad, like watermelon coffee. Or it gives American empire core. Like you are in the empire. I saw people make sweaters, shirts, and they were just monetizing on a genocide. And I think that just kind of encompasses everything that we're talking about right now. It encompasses like who the people are that we're kind of avoiding and we want to warn the people of or warn the world of, especially the newcomers to Palestine and the issue of Palestine. Like it's easy to grasp on the people like that because they kind of give you a beautiful image of Palestine or an easy to digest image of Palestine instead of like having to see the murder that's going on daily, the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people in Gaza right now. It's easy to kind of ignore that in order to survive in a country where you have to take antidepressants, like you mentioned. Like when I go to work, people pretend like nothing is happening. I had a identity crisis. I was during my finals. I was going to work. I could me and my friends who were actually keeping up, we couldn't get out of our beds without like remembering. We couldn't like have the day go by without like being in thought of what's going on. And I go to work and people are just completely okay. Even worse, when it first started, we get solidarity with Israel messages. So this is a country that needs a lot of work. We know that. Even our own people that are in this country need a lot of work because they're not helping. They're enabling the system. They're being so watered down. And I don't know if the goal is to change here, but the goal is to be as radical as you can with the message that you have, as long as you can. Because at the end of the day, if you accept the language that's brought up to you time and time again, you'll start psyching yourself out. You'll think you're the one that's wrong. You'll be like, these people are existing. These people are fine. These people are doing this. Why am I the one that's kind of just not being able to move on? Or why am I the party pooper when I go to work? Or why am I the one that's bringing it up? You have to be that one person. You have to absolutely be that one person in this empire, because everything else, social media, any sort of entertainment shows you how to be not that person. It shows you how to be complicit. We have a sort of laziness in our society. I think I've noticed it over the years, especially with social media brought up. There's only 15-minute videos or 15-second videos. There's no like you said, Ram, no one's looking where that quote is from. People are sharing that quote. But then like those same people 2 stories later, after they post like someone who's blown up to pieces, they'll post like their dinner. And they're posting them going out to that place that you're supposed to be boycotting. So it kind of gives like a little bit of an identity crisis as an American. So I think it's important to keep ourselves in check, keep the people that we love in check, and make sure that we're carrying the language and we're researching for ourselves. Go ahead and read and figure out for yourself. Like Suhad had mentioned earlier, my journey with the Quran had become so inept because the Quran does not beat around the bush. It tells you when this is happening to you, this is what you do. It tells you even at times of like the holy month of Ramadan. If people are attacking you, you can't just sit there. It's going to happen to you. You have to defend yourself. There are ways of being a person who has dignity for themselves, and the Quran keeps that dignity. And why do you think our martyrs keep the Quran as their like right on their right hand? All the videos of the martyrs are them like quoting pieces of the Quran, sharing that. They're always the people who memorize the Quran back home, because they know that there's no beating around the bush when it comes to your rights, your dignity, your human life. Basically, you need to preserve that.
Yeah, the same. And I don't consider people to be good on this issue. They condemn the Palestinian resistance. I stand in full solidarity with Hamas and the resistance unapologetic. You have white Americans who have a gun fetish, and they say stuff like, give me liberty or give me death. And I say it's a gun fetish because they don't believe in what they're actually saying. Because they say, well, we support the Second Amendment because in theory, we should be able to take up arms against a tyrannical government. Motherfucker, tell me when this government hasn't been tyrannical. But if we was to actually take up arms against the said tyrannical government, they would then call you a terrorist. Now look at these people as fools. You don't even believe in the Second Amendment. You don't even believe in the resistance. You don't even believe in the spirit that even created this country in the first place. You guys would bow down, and that's why if me and my family was a victim of a fraction of the stories I've seen from Palestine, it would be no goddamn question to me to sign up for Hamas. No question at all. But you have the professional managerial class that say, oh man, I support the Palestinian people, but not Hamas. but not the people engaged on October 7th, for example.
Exactly. The same people that can't explain why our military goes to wars and can't explain how many military bases we have everywhere in the entire world. They're the same people that are condemning Hamas. I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now. I'm trying not to cuss, but like, you are blindly supporting this army of like young children out of high school going to fight for some illusionary threat that is always false, but you're not supporting these men that are forced into this in order to protect their own dignity. Like, what type of morals do you have, and who is telling you that that is right?
Like, I'll say condemning Hamas is just like me condemning the Black Panther Party. It's like that's not happening, bro. They are here for liberation of their people, and they took it further. They went worldwide with it because they seen how connected these struggles actually are. And for everybody always saying, well, black people should stay out of this and black people should, we can't. We are literally a part of this world. We help make this motherfucker run, from your swag to your fucking prison labor. We help make this bitch run, and everything the empire touches, it damn near destroys. And I would be a coward to sit here and be like, didn't happen to me, so oh well. Nigga, it can happen to you. It happened to your people before, and this is why black people have no generational wealth. They then killed our generational wealth and then put the nail in the coffin with Barack Obama. We can go on and on about that, but this is why black people are so fucked up now, because the rest of the world is fucked over. And they look, if they're gonna do it to them, they will do it to us. Make no mistake. These people are murderers.
Why do you think it's not happening to black people? I mean, the prison industrial complex, the history of slavery, Jim Crow,
right. You know,
same but not equal. How is it not happening to black people? Mahoué, the thing is, Rom, the night before October 6th, like October 7 at 3 a.m., I was painting something that basically, and I was writing something, I lost hope. I was like, khalas, it's over. Everything is for sale now. Everything. That was 4 hours before this resistance movement. Young men, some of them don't even have shoes on, with hammers and sticks. They liberated the 30 kilometers that their parents had to walk on foot when they were children to escape to Gaza. Okay? So in that moment, me as a Palestinian, it was shocking. And oh shit, we have been in a genocide, but now it is a genocide. Now the world is going to pay attention to what's happening in Gaza. The siege, some Palestinian writers actually started writing, and how long is it going to take Gaza before it dies? That, by the year 2022, Gaza is going to be completely dead. Oh, and you're predicting it with all the white people? It's 2023 and we didn't die. We're actually not just not dying, we're resisting. And we're not just resisting for a small piece of land. We're resisting to end the Second World War. We're resisting to liberate the gate that opens Africa to Asia. So what makes you think that what's happening to Palestinians in Gaza is not what precisely is happening to Black people all around the world right now? Mehenta, you have to look at the map to really, really understand what these fuckers are doing. Gaza is literally the only piece of land that connects Africa to Asia. So why are they willing to come out as genociders? They've always been genociders. Zionists have always, like, the idea of Zionism has been built on genocide. Whether they wanted to build in Argentina or in Palestine, like in 1897 when they got together, they didn't know exactly where they were going to go. But wherever they were going to go, they were going to be genocidal. And their presence was to protect the empire, which was the British Empire at the time, and then it became the United States Empire. And it has lived this long because we are good people. We're still hoping, and maybe we can get this little bit of here. Maybe we can save this family. خلص, but we arrived at a point where the prison industrial complex. Kuntu, you were mentioning all of the countries that the empire has destroyed. Bangladesh too. Bangladesh. Yani what's happening in Bangladesh, yani they don't want, it's not that they want to only control Africa and be done with it. It's not that they only want to control Asia and get done with it. It's not that they want to fight Russia and China and make the unrest, like full unrest in the world. La, khalas, they're starting to eat themselves from the inside. They're even locking up people like Scott Ritter and calling, like it's eating itself up. It has the seeds of its own demise within it. فإنه أنا when يعني young men and women like you say that we're American, I take offense to that. Like I want to defend you. Like, no, you're not American. No. Only Americans are Americans. B, you are citizens of the United States of America. But we all have a home. We all have a home that we need to build and we need to get back to. And it's okay. You choose where your home is. But for me, as a Palestinian, my thawabit says, I want to go back to Palestine, right? To return. I am returning to my land. Whomever wants to get on this journey with me can come ahead. Whoever thinks that $10 that they donate to poor Palestinian families in Gaza, without mentioning that they're going through a genocide, they can go fuck themselves. I don't care about them. What matters right now is that the believers, the people who believe that they have the right to be free in this world, ya ammi, we have the right to be free. And we have to put masks on our faces and use their words and not carry our flag, just so that we don't, like, we want to say we're Palestinian, we want to say we're Black, we want to say we're African. Mamnu', no. Identity politics, SIOPs, social media surveillance. You have any idea how many of my friends here, their phones have been watched by the United States here? So it's just the thing about those watermelon people are voting for Kamala. طب ورشيدة طلاب إنه عن جد seriously إنه somebody explain to me the Rashida syndrome. And why Palestinians who are currently colonized in the country that the United States was based on, enslaving Africans, killing the indigenous, and colonizing our part of the world. Those are the three pillars. They're not two pillars. And I see a lot of activists make that mistake. They say it's based on killing the indigenous and enslaving Africans. Absolutely not. Because they would not have been able to continue to control Africa and extort its resources had they not colonized Palestine. Because they cut it from Asia. They cut it from its own people. فإنه of course, the system is going to create someone with black skin and white masks, like Frantz Fanon says, a Palestinian who's going to sit through a speech for a war criminal and hold a little sign that says ceasefire now and use the language of the colonizer. I mean, the resistance movement never asked for ceasefire. The resistance movement always asked for end to genocide on Gaza. How has it been 10 months into this genocide, and I'm still trying to convince my fam in the United States and to stop saying ceasefire? Ceasefire is the legal system's language, the legal system that was created to protect Israel in the first place. فإنه all of these activists outside, like Bassem Masri Habibi, Allah yarhamu, who during Ferguson, they used to cut through the crowds. The police used to cut through the crowds to get him, beat him in front of everybody and put him in jail with a bail that's higher than everyone else, because they don't want a Palestinian and a Black movement. Because then how are you going to convince people of like, oh no, the ideas you believe in mean nothing? And how is this Palestinian here then? Bassem Masri was found dead because he used to tell the truth. So did D. Seals. He was found dead. Few months after D. Seals was found with a bullet in his head in a burning car, and it was called a suicide. So yeah, okay, Kamala wants to say she's Black, but also D. Seals is Black. D. Seals is a martyr, and Kamala is a police officer and a workman. Yeah. And so they keep saying like, and then they distract you with feminism. Oh, the woman, like those bougie activists, the ones who write books that are so material. How are you writing about liberation in a material sense? Anyway, those people, yes. The feminists of the United States want equality. Another word that I hate. You were talking about unity. I hate equality. I cannot be equal with anyone. I'm not better than anybody, but nobody is better than me. But what these women, these Black and brown women who are all about the batiha, the watermelon, and then they're voting for Kamala, this is violent patriarchy.
Yes.
This is violent patriarchy. It goes even above class. They are choosing for all of us, they're choosing with a white man's choice. Oh, you want someone who looks like you? Here's a bobblehead. La. I know I talk too much, but khalas, I promise I'm going to say this.
This is great. This is great.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to our ancestors, right? Our ancestor Ibrahim. The ones that they wanted to create before the Tufan happened, before October 7 happened, there was a real, clear threat that Palestinians were going to be completely wiped out from this planet through peace treaties. Khalas, they're going to be wiped out from this piece of land at least, right? And they call these treaties, ironically speaking, Abraham Accords. Abraham, they chose our grandparent Ibrahim. And the reason why Ibrahim's story is so interesting in Quran is because Ibrahim was before it was Christian, Jewish, and Muslim, so that nobody can tell me he's anti-Semite. Okay, yalla, yalla, come at me. Let's play. My daughter in the United States, in San Francisco, in fifth grade, they used to teach her in US education, they used to teach her that Ibrahim was an Israeli Jew. Every single theological book from every theological book that that is an extension, it's an accumulation, the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, they all say that Ibrahim was the beginning. He was the first philosopher. He was wondering, what is God? And now the first prophet is Noah, and his prophecy is that he created something. He was a creator. He doesn't know what God is. He doesn't know how to communicate with him. He just knows, if I create something, this means I'm connecting to the skies. So Ibrahim came after him, and he was looking into the skies. And now what is God? His first guess was the stars, and then they disappeared. And then his second guess was it has to be the sun. He's guessing because he lives in a system that's killing women and children as sacrifice. What do you think the Holocaust means? The word Holocaust means the sacrifice. And then Ibrahim thought, no, my God is bigger than all of that. My God is about liberation. And the minute he stood against that system, the first person to throw him into fire, to stop him from that, was his own father, the one who raised him. And so I think this story, since it's the beginning of understanding what is the truth, when we are believers, whether you believe in a God or not, but you believe in the universe is just. the universe has justice in it. It's violent, but the Frantz Fanon says liberation is a violent process. And so if you are searching for this justice, you're going to have to be you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice. But your sacrifice is not the same as the colonizer. You're going to have to sacrifice much more meaningful things so that you can create much more meaningful things.
Because we don't have other people to sacrifice. We don't have other people labor to take from and sacrifice for our own benefit. And I would like to talk about what you have said on Rashida Tlaib, because me and Nick was talking about this a couple of episodes ago when I said that, that what is it called? Whatever they had, the voters saying, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for you if you don't do this." I'm like, that's just another way of keeping people in the Democratic Party, but making them feel like they are actually resisting anything. But in the end, I guarantee over 50% of them people are still going to vote Democrat, because if Rashida Tlaib was a real leader for the Palestinian people, what she would have done is she would have took the people who follow her, whatever, to support her, give her money. She would have took those supporters and went independent. Now, whether she went Green Party with it or just independent itself, you had your time, and that's when you made your bed. When I see that you didn't leave the Democratic Party and you're like, oh, we're just gonna hold their feet to the fire. How do you like? I would like to ask a question to all these people who promise me that you can push these politicians to the left. How do you push somebody that's a war criminal, somebody that's committing genocide? How do you push them to the left, and how far left do they go until they stop? Until they stop you? You know what I'm saying? Like, how far left how far left can you actually push somebody who kill kids for their job? Like, I don't get the line of thinking.
They said they were going to push Biden to the left, and they got shifted to the right to the point where they supporting genocide now.
And
so
liberals are tough on the border. Kamala Harris just put out a campaign ad talking about how Trump isn't tough on the border and how she's going to crack down on fentanyl and all this and that, which is also lies, because we know how fentanyl and all the drugs got in our neighborhood. It wasn't from no motherfucking Mexican or anybody else crossing the borders. It came from the CIA, the FBI, et cetera, et cetera. We already know that. But nigga, now you tough on the border, but y'all was just crying 4 years ago with AOC talking about defund ICE. So now ICE is cool. You see how you guys got pulled to the right on these issues that should have been solved many fucking moons ago.
Yeah, and
no, but also, I'm just gonna say, Rashida, for the sake of her campaign, nothing else. She took space and she became the subject while people outside are being locked up for protesting the genocidal maniac that is speaking in the house.
Yeah.
That is telling, oh, we're US citizens and our country is all about freedom, but he's telling the Congress, he's calling the protesters outside who are practicing their rights, he's calling them useful idiots. And Rashida is still sitting there holding her sign. Oh, it's about me. Look at me. No.
Yeah, they're frauds, and we cover them extensively. And I'm only worried about your guys' time. I'm greatly enjoying this conversation. I'm only worried about being respectful of your time, because I can have this conversation all day, but I want to make sure that I respect your guys' time, and we can wrap up maybe in the next 15 minutes or so. I want to do just one more presentation. Shift back to the main topic, but we're gonna still keep it open conversation. I just got one more thing I definitely want to cover, just for the sake of this panel, because we're covering the African, Black American, Palestinian solidarity. We're all together in this fight, whatever word you want to use. I love discussing the use of words. I think it's very interesting. But we just discussed how KI and the Democrats engaged in this siop to divide Black Americans and Palestinians, and as the dumbest among us, the people who were never on our side, the people who are counter-revolutionary, as they fell for it, the only thing that happened, as you guys see with this panel, was we was brought closer together. We immediately realized that there's a psyop being engaged in our community, and we use this as an opportunity to educate people, which is the main reason why we are having this panel. And the spawn of this led to this amazing thread talking about the history Black American and Palestinian solidarity. I shared this because this has been something I've been talking about for years now. This was the topic of our being even before this SIOP, when we had our first Palestinian summit, when we had multiple Palestinian roundtables, because I'm not a Johnny come lately on this issue like many others. This is something I've been discussing forever. So that's why when I saw this SIOP come out, like, oh, hold up. The only thing you guys are doing is giving me an opportunity to educate. That's why we put this panel together. We got to take advantage of any PSYOP they throw at us. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this and use this as an educational opportunity. So this is what I covered a long time ago. I found these screenshots. I posted this 3 years ago, my friend. And as soon as it started, I pulled this up like, all right, guys, I got you. And I eventually announced the Palestinian Roundtable, and here we are. Because I read and I wrote about this for a very long time, where you have the Black Panthers and Black liberation movements that was tied to the hip with the Palestinian resistance movement. And we had our Palestinian brothers and sisters that not only supported our fight against Jim Crow, they put their money where mouth is. They provided material support to African Americans. Not only that, we have South Africans, Nelson Mandela, standing strongly in support of the Palestinian people. Nelson Mandela, who also stood in strong support of the African American struggle. You guys see this long-standing solidarity that's been going on for decades, and the K-Hive and Black liberals think they can erase this, and just like they do everything, because we know the Zionist entity, they have no identity, they have no culture. The only thing they do is steal from the Palestinians. Like, whenever you see Zionist food channels, it's always hilarious because it's Palestinian cuisine that they rename. That's how childish they are. They steal homes, they steal food, they steal Palestinian dance, they steal Palestinian music, and then they pass it as Israeli. Look how amazing our culture is. Not only do they steal Palestinian culture, they try to steal the history of solidarity. And I did this segment a long time ago. It was like a year ago I did this segment, where you had the ADL, you had the Jewish organizations that steal from Palestinians so much, they're trying to rob their backstory. Look at this headline, just for example. Black American solidarity with Palestinians is rising. You see how it's implying? In the corporate media, whenever they talk about this, they always imply that it's something that just happened, even though I just showed you guys it was going on for decades. So you got the, oh my God, the solidarity is rising. Testing long-standing ties to Jewish allies. Hello? Huh? What do you mean? The same Jewish allies that stood with us are the same Jewish people you guys call anti-Semitic because they criticize the foreign policy of Israel. It's the peace-loving Jews that are attacked that was standing with us. Meanwhile, the hardcore evangelical Christians, which was the main driver of our struggle. Evangelical Christians are the main driver of Zionism in this country. They was in support of our enemy. And I know it's a long rant, but I'm here to tell you guys, they trying to change history. And I am not going to let it happen. The absolute last thing I'm going to share with you guys, and I'm done with presentations for today. Because of the threat that Black Americans posed to the Israeli project, because of this long-standing history, that led to the clip I'll show you guys at the beginning of the show, where they say that young Black Americans are a giant threat. But since the 1930s, you had the ADL that has been actively spying on Black radicals. There's a recent story that I was just now getting caught up on. Look at this tweet. Horrifying, a Black Indianapolis organizer was subjected to years of secret surveillance by the ADL due to her work opposing international police exchange between the United States and Israel. Once again, we are an occupied regime by Zionists. The last thing I'm going to share, sorry, this is my last presentation, is you guys see the person that we showed earlier on today, Kwame Ture? Guess who had a list of Black radicals that the ADL deemed to be anti-Semitic and Black demagogues? Look at the name they have there, Kwame Ture. They even have fucking Al Sharpton. That's how crazy they are.
Like, you know, he a fucking fed.
Sorry, Ron, I'll pass it to you. But But Corey Bush, remember, was primary. Jamal Bowman was primary, and they are sellouts. They are sellouts. This shows you guys how extreme they are, because even if you sell out a little bit, Al Sharpton is a sellout. But if you dare weak for the Palestinian people, you get labeled as an anti-Semite. So I'll pass to the panel. That's my last presentation of the day. Just showing you guys how the ADL Zionist lobby have been an active enemy of Black resistance. And now K-Hive is trying to come out of nowhere and trying to erase this history. We are not having it. I am not having it. So, Rome, I'll pass to you. Then let's go to our panel. We will wrap up soon because we just out of respect of your guys' time more than anything else. So, Rome, I'll pass to you. I know you want to chime in, and let's go around the panel.
I just want to speak on that list because Professor Griff is a motherfucking. A lot of them people on that list have taken that money, have sold out since then, you know, and it sucks that, you know, and Ice Cube. Come on now, this dude not no fucking radical. I mean, back in the days, he might have been a little radical.
Ice Cube simply said that why do we send so much money to Israel instead of the Black community? Just saying that is enough to get you labeled as a dangerous anti-Semite and a demagogue. What does that say? But go ahead, Rome.
It's funny as hell to me, but man, a lot of us gonna get labeled as these things as terrorists. They already call me a terrorist and all kind of shit. I don't mind being labeled these things by people who kill children for a living. I don't give a fuck what you call me. There's nothing that oh I'm a terrorist against an imperialist nation. What the fuck? Okay, I'll take that. What can you put that in gold and carve my name in it? I wear it like a fucking badge. What the fuck you mean? Like, you can't call me a name when you are everything in the book. But solidarity and whatever you guys wants to call it, whatever you guys would like to call it, we need to work on it. We need to remember the teachings of our past teachers. We need to remember what they fought for, what they died for. It wasn't just the Black community. The Black community is one of the biggest reasons why they passed away, but connecting the Black communities with the struggles of other communities is the reason why that bullet had their name on it. So we have to not only remember our teachers, remember what they taught us, and we have to do our homework. We have to really practice this, practice their speeches, practice the way they move, the way they talk, the people who they talk to. Some of these people are still out here on the ground. Some of these people have kids. We can still connect with these people. We can still do our damn thing and make sure that our movements isn't co-opted. So we're the point that we will have another Malcolm X, Martin Luther King on our hands and they get taken out just like them, you know? So we have to make sure our not only we say strong-minded, but strong-willed it and make sure that we know what the fuck we are doing when we are out here on the streets. Because if you are out here with half-ass information, you're going to give half-ass information, and then it's going to be a quarter of the information by it reached the motherfucker you trying to teach. So remember, Malcolm X wasn't just here for the Black community. MLK wasn't just here for the Black community. None of our leaders were just here for the Black community. Gaddafi wasn't just here for Africans. He was trying to unite everybody, and that should be our message over everything. Yes, like I said earlier, we are people from different communities, but the world don't work on its own. It spins as one. We all have to live on this bitch, and we all need the same things: education, healthcare, you know, the freedom to travel, you know, or even give up your fucking citizenship if you fucking want to, wherever the fuck it may be. The people need to live freely. This is what we need: freedom, liberation. No big brother watching over our backs and shit like that. And I know a lot of you motherfuckers get so caught up in your I'm American and this and that. Like, look, no, bro, you are a victim. You are a victim of Americanism, dude. We are living under the NDAA. We are living under the NAFTA deal. We are living under so many oppression bills that all they got to do is sprinkle some sprinkles on top of it, and you think it's some fucking ice cream. Is you crazy? No.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you guys? Get your fucking mind in the game, because they have had their mind in the game. They knew exactly where they wanted us, and they knew exactly where they was gonna put us. They knew exactly when we're gonna die. They have all the shit mapped out, depending on your zip code. I'm from 48205. I'm supposed to go to the factories and my factory life, go to the street, sell some drugs, and die. That's how a lot of Detroit niggas go. And they have this shit mapped out before I was even born. So how do you fight back? Connect with people who know this shit and know how to move around these fucking people, man. We can't keep putting ourselves front line. This is why we die as a community. You know, we have to fight as one. Because if we all rise up, they can't take us all.
Yeah, look at this Malcolm X quote, and I'm gonna pass it to the panel for. I'm gonna give you guys last thoughts. Any final closing statements? Anything you guys want to say as we wrap up here? But look at the statement by Malcolm X. He said in 1964, the Palestinian struggle with the Zionists is the same as the Negro struggle with the Ku Klux Klan. So who do you believe more? Do you trust K-Hive and Hakeem Jeffries, or do you want to be a Malcolm X revolutionary? What side are you on? But that last thing I want to say, I forgot who I called on last time, but let's start with Nordine now. It was great to hear from you guys. I definitely need to have you guys on again because your perspective is extremely valuable. But I'm gonna pass it to Nordine for any final thoughts that you want to share, very vaguely. Any last shout outs? Any final last thoughts as we wrap this up? I appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah, this was such a great conversation. I appreciate you having me on here. And I think it's just so important to just like attack this psyop head on completely and to just differentiate the real, like, actual people who are interested in true liberation than from the people who are posing as such. So I don't know. Thank you for everything. And Suhad, all of you, is so great to like just be here. I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you. And then let's go to Samaya next, and then we go to Suhad for final thoughts.
Yes, this was such a great space to be a part of, and I've been reading the comments as we were all talking. Like, there's great conversations, and I think this is just the start. Obviously, like, this is a great brain teaser for people to just think and like do the work for themselves, including myself. Everyone has work to do always. I encourage us to always think about the type of leaders that we want leading us. We don't want let them eat cake leaders. We don't want the liberals who pretend to be on our side leaders. We want people who will say flat out what we want. We don't want people to beat around the bush. We don't want uncertain communications. Just make sure that your issues are being heard and met. And it's hard to get to that point, but I want to remind everyone of the resistance leaders, and like, for example, Allah yarhamu Ismail Haniya, now his predecessor is Sinwar, and Sinwar talked about when BLM was going on. He was speaking about these issues, and all of our leaders were people who saw the injustices and spoke out flat. And that's why they have so many brave soldiers on their sides and so many people on their side supporting them, because we know that whatever is said out of their mouths has been proven by actions, and it's not just talk. And I encourage us to have that be our like guide, and to make sure that we get sources from like the start of the chain and not listen. I know, Bram, you said like you explain something, you get 50% of it, the person gets 25%. It just keeps watering down. So there are some pages that give you the flat out just look at me, kind of like what Bassem did with live streaming. You can see it for yourself and make up your own opinion about it. You don't have to read the articles that kind of tell you what to believe already. Go ahead and follow pages directly out of Gaza, RNN on Telegram, all of these very useful resources that kind of help you shape your perspective as a person and shape your morals in the correct ways. And like I said, I'm always learning myself. Find those mentors that you want to one day kind of have a moral belief similar to them and have the knowledge that kind of backs that up too. So just always be questioning, always don't accept anything. And like I said, Palestinian thawabit, have your own thawabit. What are the big things that you as a person can absolutely just don't bargain on? What are those for you? And study the thawabit of other people, and always ask for what people's like stand that they absolutely can't budge on are, because it gives you what that person is at the end of the day. And if they don't have any, it allows you to question.
Well said. And Suhad, I want to give you final thoughts. Once again, you guys' perspective was valuable, and I appreciate you guys' time. Suhad, any last thoughts?
Yes, well, first of all, I want to say thank you, everybody. Really, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you for bringing me back and, you know, asking these beautiful questions. I always worry when I'm talking to someone in the US that they're going to think I'm radical when I'm telling truth, you know. So I felt like I was back home today. So thank you for bringing me back home. Nurdin, Sumaya, Ram, Nick, seriously, I'm really grateful. Inshallah, we'll do this again with more time. Anna, I'm drained for today. But I will say I will pick up where Sumaya left it about picking your leaders. And Nick, in one of the photos that you were showing, you showed a picture of the delegation from Ferguson to Palestine. And in that delegation, Mark Lamont Hill is in the picture.
Oh, God damn it.
Along with Noura Ariqat, Black, Palestinian, right? The identity politics covered. They wrote a 10-page study called Ferguson to Palestine, where they have not mentioned a single Black nor Palestinian activist who actually was on the ground, even though they have spoken to activists who were on the ground. And they continue to be platformed as whatever, as leaders, let's say, right? So to Sumaya's point, really, the moral value of the leader that is being presented to us by the empire needs to be examined, because if you are not good to your family, you can't be good to your community. If you're not good to your community, you'll never understand the meaning of liberation. It's just automatic, right? And so when we as Palestinians say thawabit, they're not like some magical things in the future. Like, these were things that were decided by fighters who used to fight tanks with rocks after the And there are only 3 thawabit. And that's how you know the moral value of the leader that you are following. Number one is right of return. Ask any white person, are you with the right of return for Palestinians? And then you'll know if he truly has been able to stop being a Zionist. Second, Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine. Not East Jerusalem, not West Jerusalem, Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine. It's our land. We've protected it for thousands and thousands of years with every little corner of it. And I hope you all will visit it one day and see the magic that is this city that they have stolen from us. And number 3 is self-determination and sovereignty for Palestinians on their land. Those are the 3 thawabit: right of return, Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine, and sovereignty and self-determination for Palestinians. And we don't ask for these rights. I'm sorry for these people on social media that are like, oh, I'm gonna stop my check going to Palestinians. Yeah, I mean, we don't need anybody. Nahna Palestinians, we know how to take care of each other. But nahna, we want to give the world a chance to be part of this incredible resistance movement that is destroying the fucking empire. The United States of fucking America that doesn't know anything but to create wars so that just a small group of people can make more money. And in some cases, it's not even enough money. Like, how much money is it for you to sell your soul and your people? How much money is enough for you not to have nightmares at night? So Palestinians are really like, we're not asking anyone for anything anymore, because we figured out a long time ago that we were on our own. Hala, there are people around the world who know truth, and that makes us so happy, because, oh my God, you see it too. You know, when you see something beautiful and you just want people to see it with you, and you're like, come, let's go. Let's do this. Let's unlearn and learn new things and defeat empire, at least here, at least in our mind and in our hearts. Maybe we'll never have our whole land back, but God forbid, we're gonna. If people keep resisting, I've seen throughout history that there was never a time when people resisted and not one. And winning here does not mean me winning my fight right now. It's my spirit that lives on. It's your words. It's the space that you're creating, Nick. This is what remains. So you will see whatever crazy dream you have of liberation, it will happen, but it accumulates. It's one layer after another until we see a better world. So after saying all of that, you want to convince me in electing Kamala or Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan Omar for that matter, this is our liberation, or this is how we get our rights? No. Resistance is the only way we get our rights. And you cannot resist from within the system. The system is so much stronger and older than we are. You have to create your space outside of the system.
For people to understand the struggles that y'all are going through, they're going to have to understand the people here need land back themselves. The natives here need an option for land back and right to return themselves. They need to understand that the Black people here in America needs reparations for everything they went through, not even just shackleton slavery. They need to understand that we are owed reparations for the Jim Crow era, targeting our communities and our fathers with cocaine, prison industrial complex. If they don't understand the struggles of the people that they are living by and living next to, then I doubt that they will ever understand the struggles that the Palestinians are going through. And I doubt they will ever want you guys to have the right to return, because if they will want you guys to have the right to return, then we got to start home, and we got to give the natives back their land. We got to give them back government control over their land. And
I'm not waiting for them to give me that right, I'm not waiting for them to give me that right. I've been to my land 3 times so far. Inshallah, eventually I will go, whether they like it or not. And no, if the wretched of the earth, if the wretched of the United States is able to actually be free, come together, the wretched, I'm not talking about la Black, wala Palestinian, I'm talking about the wretched of the United States. If they come together and they are liberated, at least intellectually, this will make everybody else's fight so much easier, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's fight. Anywhere in the world where the United States has spewed their poison, like I said, in the complexities. For people to think in giving money, like using a capitalist way to support a resistance movement or a dying people of genocide, this is going to fulfill their soul. I'm sorry, they're going to live a life where they're never going to be free, not for a single day in their life. And that's what I wish for them. I wish for them to live one day as a free person, one day, because liberation is so beautiful, even though it's so tough, but it's so beautiful. And how do you explain, people who have been under siege for that many years have been able to stand against one of the strongest armies in the world for 9 months, for 10 months, and they're still throwing rockets at them? There's beauty to it. Look at them. Look at the videos, the words that they use after they shoot one of the tanks. There's fulfillment. And I challenge any one of these people on social media that are saying, oh, those people are racist, or those people are racist. I challenge them that they've ever known the meaning of integrity and peace, real peace, self-peace. It doesn't happen until you resist. So the wretched of the earth, the wretched of the United States, may you come together. And may you know yourself, and may you be free, wallahi, from the bottom of my heart. Ya Rab, anjad, with all the love in my heart, from this Palestinian heart.
Mm-hmm. And just to add on that, like, you can either learn from Palestinians or you can learn from Zionists, because I think that is the forefront of the fight for humanity, personally. And I just want to read a very short quote. Those who follow the dead-end path of worshiping their ego will never know the bliss that comes from not being controlled by the monster that is the ego. And the Zionists teach enslavement and empty vanity, while Palestinians teach freedom and the true life of meaning.
Yeah, each one of you guys, it would be great to even pick your minds individually. So many great things said on the show. One thing I would say is that you study history, and I was a big fan of history before politics. If you study human history is a history of revolution. Studying human history is witnessing systems failing. There is only one thing that is guaranteed when you study the centuries of human history, and that is all systems fail. Sometimes it fails on behalf of people with malicious intent. But the Zionist regime as a system will not last. Capitalism as a system will not last. Capitalism replaces feudalism. If there's one thing that we know, is that systems are born to be replaced. It is how long it's going to take. And after being forced to see baby blown up in half, after seeing the indignity that the Palestinian, I don't even have to use a extreme example. Let's not go that extreme. But even seeing the basic indignities that the Palestinians had to suffer from, I made my mind up that I want to see the collapse of the Zionist regime in my lifetime. So we're going to do everything we can to accelerate that, because the Zionist regime is inherently unstable. We are already seeing it fall apart. We are seeing the economy collapse because of the resistance of Ansar Allah and Hezbollah. We are seeing the settlers flee Israel en masse because they don't have any attachment to the land. They're not going to fight like the Palestinians. So you can call me an optimist. I am kind of naive in a lot of ways because I always cheer on revolution. But if you want to believe me on anything, believe this: the Zionist entity will not last. The idea of capitalist realism, look it up. Google capitalist realism. Capitalist realism is the idea, the colonized mind idea that capitalism is a system that will never fail. Think about how absurd that is at face value. What system lasted for thousands of years, for example? None. All systems are going to be replaced. Do you want to see it happen in your lifetime? That's the only question. So hopefully that leaves with some revolutionary optimism. And trust me, I would love to have you guys on and discuss some more with you guys. Good to be in community with you because I learned a lot speaking with you guys. I could do this conversation all day. I just, out of respect of your guys' time, I will wrap up.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. We'll do more of these, inshallah.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts you guys have? Make it quick. Going once, going twice. All right, let's wrap up.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me put this. I'll put the banner up so we don't have to be on the screen. Oh shit, we got some super chats. So I'm gonna read some. Damn, I gotta read some of these super chats actually.
I just wanted to say that resistance and resistance is something that has to happen. You know, revolution is possible in these days, in this day of time. I think, what was that country, Bangladesh? It was a whole bunch of students that just overthrew their PM. Like, we can do this with the right movement, with the right strategy, without a doubt in your mind, because that's what makes you lose. That's what makes you lose when you get out here on the field and you have a doubt. Never doubt yourself. Never doubt your comrade. You are going to win. You might not see or be able to feel the outcome, but God damn it, we're going to win. Have no doubt. Walk in solidarity with your people. Walk in step with your people. However you guys walk, make sure you walk together and have no doubt in your mind. We can't take.
We gotta get super chats, bro. We gotta get super chats. We gotta get out of here. We got a few. I gotta read real quick. I think for the 2 bucks with our eyes rise. Excellent broadcast, true to power. I appreciate that. Thank you for 10 bucks, Chris. I've been talking to some of my fellow Dominicans. Half, by the way, I think saying they're half. There's a good Palestinian solidarity from them, but most of them are still simping Israel due to Catholicism, and they still condemn Maduro. Just a while. I say that run for another time, but I've been covering you had Lula. I got a hotspot coming out. My editor probably mad because I'm late responding to him. But I got a hotspot exposing how Lula sold out to the empire. And now he's endorsing the bullshit Venezuelan election. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, wrong, but I want to make sure we get out of here. My bad, man. I want to make sure. I showed already super chats earlier. That's my bad. I want to make sure we get through these here real quick. Thanks for 499 long guy. This is why these leftists support Palestinians but not Hamas and hate the DBRK. They only support Cuba now because it's largely demilitarized compared to history. I love our community, by the way, guys. Our community filled with a lot of base chats. That's why I want to make sure I give respect to them before we sign off here. Thank you, James, for your consistent super stickers. I see you, brother. I noticed Western leftists offer words of support to victims of imperialism, but never support physical resistance against imperialism. Well said. I celebrate the victories of the resistance. You guys should too.
Fight back.
Follow Palestine Resist on Telegram.
Yeah, well said. And to my panelists, if you guys want to chime in on any of these super chats, feel free. I won't get mad if you interrupt me if you want to comment. I just want to make sure I read them before we get off. Thank for the 499 Buckeye fan. I don't think the ADOS organization is a part of the current DNC grift, but still think it's a grift based on nativism. They ruined reparation discourse. If you're interested, search my username in ADOS and watch me rip these motherfuckers to shreds. Because these are the dumb motherfuckers who believe that if we side with the empire and we embrace capitalism, then white people will give us reparations as a thank you. That's what these idiots believe, and I have no tolerance for it.
Hey Nick, my friend is posting the link in the chat for the Telegram page if anyone's interested. They post basically news from Palestine all over the world. There's multiple people posting in it. It keeps you up to date with everything. I wake up, drink my coffee, and just sit on Telegram and catch up with the world before, you know.
Send me that link and I can put it in the description. I also want it for myself because I'm always looking for more great content to follow. So thank you, Samala. We almost done. I appreciate you guys' patience. Once again, feel free to chime in if you guys want to chime in. We almost done. And by the way, just to save you guys time, if you want to hear what I like the last few days, bro, I've been so hard on these motherfuckers because they. Anyway, let's move on. They believe that embracing capitalism, and if you did, I had a tweet that went viral that pissed them off. I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead and keep demonizing immigrants, and white people can give you reparations any moment now. Go ahead, keep saying the stuff that white people want you to say. You think that's how you're gonna get it? You guys think that you're gonna get reparations through the system? You think if you vote for enough Democrats, you're gonna get reparations? Clown shit. And I go hard at these people because I actually care about our debt being owed, and the ADOS movement does nothing but hurt our cause, my friends.
I remember I was a space full of liberals, and I was like, the only way Black Americans is going to get reparations is if we take them ourselves. Nobody is here to save you. Nobody's here to liberate you, especially the same people who enslaved your fucking ancestors. Like, some of these people are still in power who was in favor of segregation. You know, like, some of these people are still in power to this day. So how would you get any reparation, any type of reparations from them? And what they're going to do is they're going to fuck us just like they did the Native Americans when it comes to reparations and giving up land. The natives are still fighting for their damn land that was given to them through reparations. That money is gone. And if we don't have a right plan, if we don't take the reparations for ourselves, then they're going to make a check and be like, look, here you go. Here's $2,500 for every Black person in America. Shut the fuck up. We gave you reparations.
But Kamala. Come on, man. But Kamala.
Thanks for $5, Goody Weaver. Palestinians didn't write the crime bill. Well said. Or keep Black people locked up to use as corporate slaves. Caping for the oppressor is clown shit. Once again, I don't want to say anything, but just look up who was the slave owners. That's all I'm gonna say. Look up who owned us. That's all I'm gonna say. Just look up who actually owned the fucking slaves. Look up who actually financially supported the system of Jim Crow. Don't listen to these fucking headlines. This is one of the headlines showed earlier. This is bullshit. They are rewriting history because Zionists, the only thing they can do is steal the identity of Palestinians. They don't have solidarity with us. They always side with the oppressor. Will said Palestinians didn't write a damn crime bill. That's such a great chat. I see only 3 more. Yeah, I only see 3 more. We almost done. They were $10. Andrea. That's how I know this panel was successful. We got a lot of people engaging. That's how I know it was a great panel. We definitely got to organize this as something regular, man. It was great. They were $10. Andrea. I've been waiting for this show. Solidarity is the only route to our collective liberation. Stop the killing. And I see 2 from our friend Super Seamster Sewing Show. Love RBN. You give me hope for the future. Well said. And I see this solidarity super chat from Leprechaun. as well. And I was just talking about this. I started this earlier. This is my friend Colin. We should have a problem with FBA and all those communities. Well, yeah, I just talked about that. Well, again, if you're interested, just search my tweets about it. I don't have no need for me to talk about it today. Anyway, we're done with the super chats. Thank you guys. It was a long live stream. It was great meeting and being in conversation with you guys today. And just going once, going twice. Any last word from Suhad, Nordine, Sumala? Just because I want to be nice and give you guys the last
Thank you.
chat. All right, thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna put the banner back up, and that's it for me. Me and Rome gonna be in Chicago. Let's go, bro. Yeah, bam. This shit is gonna be fire, bro. They invited my crazy radical ass to give a speech, and I was like, bet. So I'm about to tear the house down. Rome about to be there. I'm gonna explain why Kamala Harris is not the lesser of two evil and expose the Zionist regime. That's this weekend. This is like what, my fifth live stream this week, banger after banger guest. So you guys are not gonna see me for a few days, to be honest, man, because there was a lot of fucking content this week and a banger panel to end with as well. So I hope you guys give me a few days to get to be in Chicago. I'm gonna see what side content I can put out. Shit, me and Ron can figure out how
We're
to
gonna
go
be together.
live.
So y'all gonna see us clipping together. You know me. Anytime I go somewhere, I want to feed somebody. So I'm gonna drag Nick around Chicago a little bit. The parts that I know, we're gonna go feed some homeless people. Probably give out some free haircuts and stuff like that while we get a little time. Yeah. But yeah, I can't go nowhere without feeding people. It's only right.
Dude, that would actually be dope. But anyway, I'll be in Chicago. This is my fifth live stream of the week, so I'll see you guys in a few days, man. It's gonna be a while, maybe fucking Wednesday or Thursday in terms of the regularly scheduled program. But we on the ground. This is what's most important. So I want big shout out to everyone who joined the panel. I'll make sure I get you guys information shared. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good